The last one is light. You can't command results beyond the light you command. Any results you command is dependent on the light you command. If the light you are commanding is small, the results is small. If the light you are commanding is much, the results is much. No man shines more than their capacity or the amount of lights he commands. This bulb is for this room. If you want to send this bulb outside, no one will see it. You need a street bulb. So many people, you are shining in your village. You are shining in your local church. You are shining in that assembly. In that area, you are shining, but no one knows you after that area. When we go beyond that area, no one knows you. That is because the light you are commanding is small. It can't go. It can't brighten beyond where you are. So many people lost it, and many prophets have no authority because they have no light. It is one thing to see and another thing to have light. There are two eyes. Those who see by spiritual eyes and those who see by light. There are men that see by light, and their light has given them results in life. I told you, no dimension of God can manifest here until the man of God carries that light. Bring that dimension on earth. You can never see anything happening in an environment until the man of God carries light about that thing. If a man of God don't have light about healing, that man will never be healed. A man who don't have light about deliverance will never be able to deliver somebody. A man who don't have light about faith will not be able to exercise his faith. Any man who don't have light about financial freedom will not be financially free. Whatever you found yourself and it is a bondage, it is because you lack light. When the light shineth into darkness, darkness can no longer comprehend it. Darkness must disappear. Do you know why you know that? And you know very well that 100 cities can buy some things and still leave change, because you have been educated. You have received light about 100 Ghana cities. But there are people that don't know what 100 cities can buy. That is because they have no light about 100 cities. You go to China and give somebody 100 cities. The person will be confused what to buy. That is because he has not received light in Ghana about 100 Ghana city bill. So he don't know how to use it. So he's limited. He may hold that money in Ghana and don't even know it is money until somebody appeared to him and said, this money can buy this chair. And the person will say, oh, okay, then let me buy a chair. I've been looking for a chair. There are many anointed men of God who are not walking in authority because they lack light. And the light you possess determines the life you command. You can't give life beyond the light you command. You don't read as a prophet. You can command some powers. As a prophet of God, you may be prophesying. You may be healing the sick. You may be opening the eyes of the blind. You may be raising the crippled. And yet, you cannot civilize a society. All these things can happen in your ministry, in your church, in your life. And yet, you cannot civilize a society. Because civilization happens through light, not through miracles. That is why when the Methodist Church and the Orthodox churches came to Africa, they came with light. And it is that light they used and colonized Africa. It was no miracle. Trust me, those who brought the gospel to Africa, most of them don't know how to pray. Some of them, malaria killed them. They didn't know how to even heal themselves of malaria. That is because they came with a measure of light. That was having the ability to colonize the people. They were having light our fathers were not having. It's not like they were having power than our fathers. Some of them, our fathers were powerful than them. There were some of our fathers that they can suspend in the air, yet they colonized them. It was not power. Some of our fathers can do incantation, and all of a sudden they are suspending in the air. Some of them can do incantation and then things will appear. Yet they were colonized by the white people. Why? Light. So a prophet can be prophesying. A prophet can be seeing vision. A prophet can be healing the sick, raising the dead, doing all manner of miracles. And yet that prophet cannot colonize one city. He can't civilize one city. That is because civilization comes through light, not through miracles. Light is important. There should be a way, there should be a measure and then a dimension of God that you carry. That measure and that dimension should be able to colonize your city. That people will come under the knowledge. Look at Bishop David Oyedepo. He built a city in Lagos. At Ota. He built a city. He has colonized that area. That is what we call light. He has civilized that area. That is what we call light. From primary school to secondary to university, everything is in that city. He has built a city, and when you enter, you can see light at work. That is light at work. People are building cities through light. Cities. Have you read your Bible where Abraham performed a miracle? Can you remember where Abraham performed a miracle? That Abraham raised the dead. Abraham healed the sick. Yet he's the father of all faith. Why? Light. Abraham became the father of all men, all nations. Through light. He has not raised the dead before. Elijah, who has raised the dead, is not the father of nations. Elisha, who has raised the dead, is not the father of nations. All the prophets that came after Abraham couldn't outdo Abraham. They came with some dimension of power and authority, yet they couldn't outdo Abraham. Abraham is still the father of what? Nations, because he sees like God. He took the nations through light. Man of God, steady, lead. Let me give you a secret. Every month, a general should be your case study. How many generals can you mention of here? How many of them do you know their mistakes? How many of them do you know their strength? How many of them do you know what they are able to do? How many of them do you know their history? You don't know. Even the popular ones. Some of you, Baba, Apostle Baba, Lola, you don't know his history. Some of you, Rehoboam, you don't know when the Rehoboam was born. You don't know how he got converted. Some of you, Young Cho, you don't know how Young Cho gave his life to Christ. You don't know the history of your fathers and you want to succeed them. You don't know what stopped them and you want to be unstoppable. You don't know what limited them and you want to be unlimited. Every month, have a case study of a man. Make sure you investigate everything about that man. Look for that man. What was the strength of that man? How did he got born again? What was the limitation in his city? What affected him? What gave him wings to fly? You should be able to know all these things. You cannot just be living like that. Those who brought the gospel to Africa, who were they? How did they penetrate Africa? What method did they use that they are able to break that darkness and they colonize and they civilize Africans? What method did they use? It will surprise you that some of you can pray more than them, can speak in tongues better than them. But what they used was light. But there is a saying that the secret of great men is in their what? Story. Yet you don't read. How many of you have read the God's General Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3? We have African God's General. How many of you have read that book? Yes, African God's General. I have it on my table. It should be either in the office or in the house. People that brought revival in Africa. People that spearheaded revival in Africa. People that invaded Africa and changed the history and then the dynamics of ministry in Africa. People that brought power, light, and authority into Africa. You should know the story and the history of all these people, because that is the best way to succeed. It doesn't happen by mistake, my brother. You can't manifest beyond the light you command.